There is a town in South Africa where only white Afrikaners live.
Why is everyone so obsessed with Orania?
They do not employ black people, they have their own currency, they believe it's legal.
We like to live our culture, to build our institutions and so on. So in Orania, we decided on a different path, the path of creating a future for ourselves.
Welcome to Orania, the whites-only town that claims it's not racist, just selective. Stick around because we're unpacking the legal, historical, psychological, and even social layers of Orania. Trust me, it's deeper than you think. What is Orania and is it even legal? Let's start with the big question. Is Orania even legal under the South African law? Surprisingly, yes, Orania is allowed to exist, and here is how. Section 225 of South Africa's constitution protects the right to self-determination. People who share a common language and cultural heritage are legally allowed to form a society in South Africa and live together. So Orania uses this section to justify their existence. They say that they do not exclude based on race. They welcome anyone who aligns with their values. This sounds so clever, but it's also conveniently vague. So critics now argue that even though Orania doesn't legally say it's a whites-only town, its requirements happen to only match white Afrikaners, which raises the question, is it really about self-determination or is it just segregation which is rebranded? Who founded Orania and why? Orania was founded in 1991, right before Apartheid officially ended. It was the birth child of Dr. Colonel Boshoff, who happens to be the son-in-law of Hendrik Verwoerd. I just had to mention that Hendrik Verwoerd is known as the architect of Apartheid, for those who do not know. Dr. Boshoff and other Afrikaners or Afrikaner nationalists came together. They decided that now that a new government was coming in, they believed that the Afrikaner people were about to become a vulnerable minority to a new democratic South Africa. So their solution was to form or build a new town by Afrikaners for Afrikaners. They bought an abandoned town in the banks of Orange River and built this town, which was supposed to reside only white Afrikaners. This would be a kind of Afrikaner homeland inside South Africa. So the idea behind Orania is that of ethnic nationalism, number one. They believe that they must protect their own language, they have to protect their own culture and religion in order to survive. Actually, their motto is, we are not anti-anyone, we're just pro-Afrikaner. Another philosophy is that of Christian traditionalism. They believe that by living together in one place, they want to protect their Christian values, most of which we are aware of. And that includes gender roles, traditional family life is central to them. So they wanted to protect this as well. Another important one is economic self-sufficiency. Orania has its own local currency, which is called the Ora. Supporters say that this builds pride and self-reliance. Orania is more of a prototype for a future Afrikaner state. Now, there's a well-documented literature on this idea of in-groups and out-groups, and I think we have to talk about it. That is that as human beings, we see things in terms of us versus them. So Orania is a good textbook example of an in-group identity, which is based on shared language, shared religion, and race. The history shows us that when people feel threatened, just like the Afrikaners in 1994, they often retreat to these identities. There's in-group identities. Right, so they want to protect their own pride by grouping themselves together and then excluding the other people who are basically a potential threat. And I think this is an example of what we're seeing with Orania. This manifestation of the idea of in-groups and out-groups tend to lead to nationalism, tribalism, and even racism. That's where the danger lies. The line between protection and exclusion is razor thin. This is the million-dollar question. Is Orania racist? Here's what's interesting. In recent years, Orania has become more media friendly. They are inviting black creatives, journalists to visit and capture their story and give more nuance to what Orania is and what they are doing that side. Well, you may call it soft PR, but it seems like it's working for them because people are starting to view Orania with more nuance. Here's my take on this. When a town is created right before the end of apartheid, remember Orania was created in 1991 and apartheid officially ended in 1994. The philosophy behind creating this town where only white people live, work and lead, that's definitely not about preserving culture. It's a political statement and it's a very, very loud one. If every race in South Africa was to decide that we are creating our own Orania right now, what would be left? Would we have this rainbow nation that we claim to have? So is Orania legal? Well, technically it is. Is it clever? Sure. As I mentioned in my previous video, I think we can agree that morality and legality aren't always the same. But I want to know what you think. What do you think about this white Afrikaners only town? If you found this video insightful, please make sure that you like, share, comment and subscribe. See you on the next one.